Today I am starting a new topic, reflexive spaces. Let me recall you, if X is a linear space over any field F, then the set of all linear functionals on X is also a linear space over field F, and it is called dual space of X. And similarly, if X is a non-linear space over field K, where field K is the field of real numbers or complex numbers, then the set of all bounded linear functionals on X is a non-linear space over field K, and this is called the dual space of X. To differentiate this dual space from the dual space of a linear space, we also call it topological dual space of X, and we denote it by X star. Since X star is a non-linear space, so we consider the set of all bounded linear functionals on X star, and then that is also a non-linear space over field K, and this is called the second dual space of X, and it is denoted by X double star. Now we have a very important theorem which is known as natural embedding theorem. Let X be a non-zero non-linear space over field K. For each X belongs to X, let phi X be a mapping from X star to K, defined as phi X of F is equal to F of X for every F belongs to X star. Here, since F is a mapping from X to K, so F of X belongs to K. So this is a mapping from X star to K. And then phi X is a bounded linear functional on X star. Further, the mapping phi from X to the set containing phi X for every X belongs to X, defined by phi of X is equal to phi X, is an isometric isomorphism, and that is pi is a mapping from X to X double star, and it is an embedding. Embedding means a homeomorphism which is not onto. Now let us prove this theorem. First we shall show that phi X is a bounded linear functional. So let us prove phi X is linear for alpha, beta in K, and for f, g in X star. Phi X of alpha f plus beta g is equal to, by definition, alpha f plus beta g of X, and this is equal to alpha of fx plus beta into g of x, and this is equal to, by definition, alpha times phi x of f plus beta times phi x of g, and so we have shown that phi x is linear. Now we show that phi x is bounded for f belongs to X star, and for any x in X, a mod of phi x of f is equal to mod of f of x by definition of phi x. And since f is a bounded linear functional, so this is less than or equal to norm of f into norm of x for every f belongs to X star. And for any x belongs to X, norm of x is a fixed real number, and so we can say that phi x is bounded. If phi x is linear, this is bounded, so phi x is a bounded linear functional on X star. That means phi x belongs to X double star. And we also note that if x is equal to y, then f of x is equal to f of y for every f belongs to X star. And so by definition of phi x, we can write f of x as phi x of f, and this is equal to phi y of f for every f belongs to X star. And since phi x and phi y are mappings which map every element of the domain to the same element, their images are same, so these two mappings must be equal, That means phi x is equal to phi y. So in this way we have shown that for every x belongs to x, there exists a unique phi x in x star. This defines a mapping pi from x to the set containing phi x for each x belongs to x, and defined by pi of x is equal to phi x. Now we have to show that pi is an isometric isomorphism. So first we show that pi is 1 1, and so for any x and y in x, suppose pi x is equal to pi y, and by definition we have phi x is equal to phi y, and since these two mappings are equal, so they map every element of the domain to the same element. That means phi x of f is equal to phi y of f for every f belongs to x star, and by definition we have f of x is equal to f of y for every f belongs to x star, and this can be written as f of x minus f of y is equal to 0 for every f in x star. And since f is linear, so f of x minus y is equal to 0 for every f belongs to x star. And we know that if all bounded linear functionals on x maps any element to 0, and so that element must be equal to 0. And so x minus y must be 0 vector. That means x is equal to y, and so we have shown that pi is 1 1. Now we show that pi is linear. For x and y in x, for alpha beta in k, pi of alpha x plus beta y is equal to phi alpha x plus beta y by definition of pi. And since these are bounded linear functionals on x star, and these two are equal, so they map every element of image to the same element, and that means their images are same. So pi of alpha x plus beta y of f is equal to phi alpha x plus beta y of f for every f belongs to x star, because these are mappings from x star to k. And by definition of phi x, this is equal to f of alpha x plus beta y for every f belongs to x star. And this is equal to, since f is linear, so this is equal to alpha times f of x plus beta times f of y for every f belongs to x star. Now we use the definition of phi x. This is equal to alpha times phi x of f plus beta times phi y of f for every f belongs to x star. And so this can be written as alpha phi x plus beta phi y of f for every f belongs to x star. And so we have shown that pi of alpha x plus beta y is equal to alpha phi x plus beta phi y. And this implies that pi of alpha x plus beta y is equal to alpha pi of x plus beta pi of y by definition of pi mapping. And so pi is linear. Now we show that pi is an isometric. For x belongs to x, a norm of pi of x is equal to norm of phi x by definition of pi. And since pi x is the bounded linear functional, so we know its norm. This is equal to supremum of, within bracket, mod of phi x of f divided by norm of f, where f belongs to x star and f is non-zero. And this is equal to supremum of, by definition of phi x, we have within bracket mod of f of x divided by norm of f, where f belongs to x star and f is not equal to 0. And we know that this is equal to norm of x. So we have shown that pi preserves norms, that is norm of pi x is equal to norm of x. So pi is an isometry. As for each x belongs to x, we have defined phi x. And so clearly for each phi x, there exists x in x such that pi of x is equal to phi x. And so pi is onto. Earlier we have shown that pi is 1, 1, pi is linear, pi is an isometry. And so pi is an isometric isomorphism from x onto the subspace containing bounded linear functionals phi x for each x belongs to x. Here we note that this set is a subspace of x double star, because for any two elements phi x and phi y of this set, for any two scalars a and b, and for every bounded linear functional f on x, we note that a phi x plus b phi y of f is equal to a phi x of f plus b phi y of f, and by definition this is equal to a f of x plus b f of y. And since f is any bounded linear functional, so by linearity of f we can write f of ax plus by, and by definition of phi of x, this is equal to phi ax plus by of f. And this holds for every f belongs to x star. That means these two mappings are equal. So we can say that a f phi x plus b phi y is equal to phi ax plus by. And so we have shown that the set containing phi x for each x belongs to x is a subspace of x double star. So we can say that x is homeomorphic to a subspace of x double star, because we know that any isometric isomorphism is a homeomorphism. So we have shown that x is homeomorphic to a subspace of x double star. And hence, if we write mapping pi from x to x double star, then we can say that this is an embedding. Now we have a remark. The mapping pi from x to x double star defined by pi of x is equal to phi x is a natural embedding we have seen in the theorem, and so it allows us to regard x as a part of x double star. Why? Because x is homeomorphic to a subspace of x double star, so we can regard x as a part of x double star. Now we have definition. A nonlinear space X is said to be reflexive if and only if the natural embedding pi is onto I mapping from x to x double star, which is defined as pi of x is equal to phi x, and this is onto also, and that means we have the condition that every element of x double star is of the form phi x. Then only pi mapping will be onto. Because earlier we have shown that this mapping is not onto. In general, it is not onto. But if this mapping is onto, that means every element of x double star is of the form phi x. Then we can say that mapping is onto, or we can say that pi from x to x double star is an isometric isomorphism. Now we have a remark. As the mapping pi from x to x double star defined by pi of x is equal to phi x for each x belongs to x, then pi of x and phi x are linear functionals on x double star. By definition here, this phi x belongs to x double star, and phi x is equal to pi x, and this is also an element of x double star. And so pi of x of f is equal to phi x of f for every f belongs to x star. And So we can write here pi x of f is equal to f of x for every f belongs to x star. Now recall that if we consider the set of all bounded linear operators from a norm-linear space X to a norm-linear space Y, then we know that this is a norm-linear space, and if Y is complete, then this is also a complete norm-linear space, or this is a Banach space. And so if we consider the set of all bounded linear functionals on a nonlinear space X, then this is always complete because K is always complete, whether K is the field of real numbers or the field of complex numbers. And so the set of all bounded linear functionals on X star is also complete because K is complete, and so we can say that the space, nonlinear space X double star is complete. And so for X to be reflexive, because if X is reflexive, then X and X double star are homeomorphic, and so for reflexivity of X, completeness of X is a necessary condition. That is, if X is not a Banach space, then X cannot be reflexive. And we also note that it is not sufficient for reflexivity that X is isometrically isomorphic to X double star under any mapping different from the natural embedding. So we must show that natural embedding, which is defined as natural embedding pi from X to X double star, which is defined as pi of X is equal to phi X, that particular mapping is onto, then only we can say that space X is reflexive. Thank you.